Well, speaking of games where both teams need it and need it bad. 7:30, ABC, Notre Dame on the road at Texas A&M. A&M favored by 3 points. 3 points. This line has moved in their direction. I consulted with some of our friends in the desert. It is not the public bettors, the squares like you and me. It is the sharps. It is the guys and gals that pay their bills with these bets that moved this line and moved it relatively early. So there is confidence that A&M can pull it off, Dan. I have many thoughts in this game.
Please.
I've got Notre Dame pennants behind me. I've been thinking about this game for about 6 months now.
Yeah.
Let me start with you, and then I can do my little diatribe. Where are you at with Notre Dame at A&M? A lot new on both sides that I'm sure we can get into, but this is a big spot. This is the Herbie and Fowler game.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
Are you still sleeping with your Howard Cross body pillow? Is that a thing that you've been doing lately in preparation of the return of Irish football?
I got it out of the crawl space, yeah.
Full size, baby.
Yeah.
I don't know how big Howard Cross is. I assume large. This is going to be really fun. This is going to be quite fun for Notre Dame, right? It's just the Marcus Freeman Megazord. He's been given the keys, a high-profile transfer quarterback yet again, a high-profile new offensive coordinator yet again. It seems like, the receiving position has been shored up. Whatever Marcus Freeman has needed, he has eventually gotten. Now he just needs to be the one to win games with all those players and all those additions to Notre Dame. And I talk about the quest for boredom with Miami. It's almost the identical thing with Texas A&M. It's, can Texas A&M now become a reflection of Mike Elko, which is just like smart, well-regarded, savvy, wins not the right way, but wins, pretty consistently and has had success as both a coordinator and head coach pretty consistently. So this is going to be great. And Mike Elko has the history with Notre Dame. So you always like the overlap, the narrative overlap there. Hey, real quick, it'd be great if you could consider subscribing to the YouTube channel down below. It really helps us out.
We need the monster truck rally voice to introduce this one, like Elko Leonard.
It's going to be great. I'm excited for Conner Weigman, right? That you get Conner Weigman, hopefully like a symphony of things coming together for a Texas A&M offense that struggled. And then for Notre Dame, it's just, okay, it's Mike Denbrock and Riley Leonard. What's that experience like week one in a chaotic environment?
Well, it's not just them. It's the line. The line is the problem.
I know. You've been harping on, what is your go-to? You're just like, they haven't looked cohesive.
Well, it's not even that. They have 6 projected starts returning on that offensive line.
Okay.
Because they're starting a freshman at left tackle. They're starting a sophomore at left guard.
You're talking about Notre Dame or Texas A&M?
Talking about Notre Dame's offensive line.
That's what I figured. Okay.
Notre Dame's offensive line, to take that into Kyle Field, night game, opening weekend, you have to have a lot of blind faith to just assume that's going to go swimmingly. Even if you feel good about all the other pieces, which I do. I like Riley Leonard a lot. I think he's a great player. I like what they've got in the backfield. I think the receiver room will be much improved. We know they've got a good tight end. But to quote the prophet David Pollock, it all starts up front, right? Like it starts up front.
The prophet David Pollock.
I didn't know what to call
Those
him.
are words that have never been associated.
I don't even know what to say at this point.
Yeah.
But we used to make that joke all the time. I'll come back to it again. It does start up front. And so you have to assume Mike Elko will come up with something exotic to throw at that offensive line, given their inexperience.
Yeah.
And it worries me. Now, how does Mike Denbrock react to that? Because there had been rumors for a while that they were going to start a freshman, Anthony Knapp, at left tackle. Do we see things like them trying to move the pocket? Do we see quicker passes and screen passes and swing passes, something to get a guy like a Jeremiah Love in space? I think we will see more of that. More of that maybe in week one than we see any other week of the season. I'm not an offensive coordinator, but that's just maybe what I would do in college football 25. All right. So having that inexperience up front, I think, is a problem. They're going to need to lean on that defense for sure to try and create some disruption and give themselves some separation in a game like this, because their defense should be really good.
Which quarterback would you rather be Saturday night?
Rather be personally?
Yeah, like rather be, not in terms of like what what your life would be as a Notre Dame quarterback or Texas A&M quarterback. But like, would you rather be Conner Weigman with who he has in front of him, which is still a question on offensive line? I think some talented receivers. There's a beat up running back room with Reuben Owens going down. But I think more in the way of proven at receiver. Now Moose Muhammad sort of comes into the starting lineup. Or would you rather be Riley Leonard with promising but unproven receivers, a new line, and be on the road? So, like, whose brain would you rather inhabit Saturday night, Riley Leonard or Conner Weigman?
I would rather be Conner Weigman.
Okay. I mean, arguably throwing into a more difficult defense.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But I'd almost always rather be at home in a big spot.
Okay.
Than be on the road, especially with a new line. Look for penalties from that line. I mean, that's one of the things you see when you've got relative inexperience in the trenches. It's a good A&M defensive line, by the way, too. It's a really good defensive line.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that Mike Denbrock is the right guy for this moment to call the plays for Notre Dame, because if it were Jared Parker a year ago, they'd just run it 20 times.
Yeah.
Run it 20 times, and then if that didn't work, they wouldn't have a second pitch. I think Denbrock is smart enough as a coordinator to figure out a way around that and at least put his quarterback in a position to get outside the pocket, to throw downfield, to provide a second, a third pitch for a defense that, look, they'll be coached up with Mike Elko. I don't think there's any question about that. So I am not crazy about the line situation for Notre Dame. I do love pretty much everything else, including their own defense, which I think will be really good and is still kind of underrated given the national conversation. I think this is a defensive line for Notre Dame that sets the tone in this game and for Notre Dame the rest of the season. Notre Dame's going to win this game outright 27-21.
Wow. On the road.
They're going to win this game outright 27-21. I thought about locking it up, but my locks have been really unlucky over the last 3 years now. So I'm not going to jinx my own team by doing that. But Notre Dame is winning this game 27-21.
If the grade is 100 out of 100 of what Notre Dame's offense looks like as it relates to what LSU's looked like last year, not necessarily in the success, but like what the offense is, what the intentions are. 100 is identical, 0 is completely different. Like, what do you think the overlap is with this year's Notre Dame team compared to last year's LSU team? Like, will they run Riley Leonard a bunch like Jaden Daniels was run, and they were like crazy efficient as a running team last year, LSU?
Well, I think they will put him in positions where he can make that decision.
Is the option. Okay.
You know, like one thing that I thought a lot about is, and this isn't just me saying that, you can go and read any of the preview content that's out there on what it seems like Mike Denbrock would want to do more of with Riley Leonard. And it does speak to what I think the game plan needs to be in this game, given the line. You might see some quicker passes. You might see some RPO stuff, really anything that can put the defensive front on skates, that could put the ball in the hands of Riley Leonard to let him make that decision. So I think they will put him in plenty of opportunities to go out there and run the football. And I think there will be some subset of the offense that relies on him doing that, at least the threat of his legs. If nothing more, he's really good at escaping sacks. He's done that really well over the course of his career. And so I think his mobility, his elusiveness gives them something that they did not have a year ago with Sam Hartman, who was not as fleet of foot. Ran for a big one against Duke to bail him out, but that is not his game. This is very much Riley Leonard's game.
Okay.
And that's part of why I like the fit here. So the offense as a whole, I think, will look a lot different than it did a year ago, if only because it did the same 4 things last year. This year, there will be a lot more variability, and hopefully, given a deeper receiver room, he's going to have more options to go downfield, figure something out, and stretch this defense out, or at least provide that threat.
By the way, I have something spicy that informs my pick.
Oh, is this our Wendy's?
This is our Wendy's
nugget of the
saucy nugget of the week.
Woo! Go for it.
I would probably go get like garlic parmesan or like a honey barbecue. I think that would be my sauce choice.
I'm a Buffalo guy myself.
You go Buffalo. That's fine. Totally acceptable. My Wendy's saucy nugget of the week is the fact that Mike Elko, in his first year at Duke, his previous job, was only there for a couple of years, at a place that was probably easier to play than Kyle Field, less of a home field advantage, maybe with a quarterback who didn't have as high a ceiling as a Conner Weigman. And the best Riley Leonard was really good. 5-1 at home against the spread.
Really?
As Texas A&M.
In his first year?
In his first year. I mean, he's only there 2 years. But yeah, remember they were like, I consider them to be like a gust of wind away from being 11-1 in his first year at Duke.
They were.
Yeah.
They were 5-1 at home against the spread.
5-1 at home against the spread. Mike Elko, different team, different time, different conference, whatever. I kind of like that with this home field advantage in week 1, though. So I'm taking A&M 23-17 and covering.
That is a saucy nug.
Thank you.
Yeah. 7 delicious ways, by the way.
I've been told by many people I've had extremely saucy nugs. Continue.
7 delicious ways to try the nugs you already love. You just pick
Ooh.
a flavor, you grab some extra napkins, prepare to nug like you've never nugged before.
Oh, I've nugged, Ty.
For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's, Dan.
It's got to be.